Hey gang, welcome. Larry Bailey here. We are live in the mortgage.community. We meet every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, which is where I normally am, or 1 p.m. Pacific, which is where I am today. I'm in a building in Seattle, doing my thing here in the community room. Fortunately, I'm the only one in here. And so today we are going to talk about how to leverage the settings report and the system audit trails. Because if you don't know how to do that, you're missing out on a ton of information that is right at your fingertips. So we're going to talk a lot about that. But as always, this is a community call first, which means this is your opportunity to really talk about all things Encompass, anything that you have going on. And we'll for those that are not able to make it live, of course, we always have replays, but getting here live, you get to interact. And congratulations to Luba Maines, who is today's first comment winner. If you didn't know it, Luba is one of the most competitive people I've ever met. If there is a contest, Luba is probably going to figure out how to win it. Some people say she might use alternative methods, whatever those methods are, to win. But anyway, we love Luba, and it's always a blast to having everybody come here as a meeting. So, first of all, when Chris can't keep up with being first, dude, it was only like a few months, Chris. Like, come on, you're stronger than that. I believe in you, Chris. You can come back. Oh, you felt bad. Oh my God, it's you. See, this is where you don't have to say anything. You can just kind of leave it like that. Anyway, so good news. We've got some updates that are happening to Encompass over the next. Few weeks. I said this to the class earlier. We meet as a group every really Tuesday and Thursday for the Mastering Encompasses admins. And we talked a lot about preparing for 24.2. If you are a partner, you've been reminded repeatedly from ICE that you need to make sure your URLs that you're pointing to for your EPC integrations are updated. And that's important for us as administrators because that means that there's more updates coming to Encompass, not only desktop, but also to the web. We also talked a lot about automating services being managed. Kim had a great comment in the community today about automating service, and I tried to shoot a video. And my apologies, Kim, I do video all the time because I don't have time to create technical documents. But I will go back and I will do a screen recorder in Windows. It actually does like where you click and it actually creates a Word document at the end, or at least a document that you can put into Word and share. So I'll do that. Yeah, Scribe is one of those things you can pay for too. But honestly, check out the Windows version first. First of all, it's free. Second of all, it actually does do it really well. I've done that for other team members to create technical documents because I suck at writing. Anyway, so that's the reason why I'm bringing this up is you should be really aware of what your settings are. Part of the Encompass self-health check, which is what we've been doing from May through June. So this will be, I think this is the last one. Next week we get into other things. You have to know what's going on. So first of all, pop quiz. I want everybody to go into your Encompass. And I want you to go over into the settings. Let's see if I can share a screen here, if I can figure this out. Share a screen. There's going to be some infinity screening because I only have one screen because I am traveling, so I apologize. So if you come over into your system audit trail, what does this number say down here at the bottom, gang? Hopefully for you it says 999. I will give you a pass if it doesn't say 999, but you're going to want to make sure it says 999 because that's the reason why so many people lose their system audit trail. So Luba's got 999 because we've talked about it a million times. Everybody else who doesn't have 999, please change it immediately. An example for like Chris, basically anything that you do in your system 91 days ago is lost. And we're going to talk about why this is important. Candace, you're definitely Never want it to be less than 999. And again, what you're doing is you're creating an audit trail which doesn't affect system performance whatsoever, but it's an audit trail for what happens in your system. And we're going to go through all the settings reports, but I want to talk about that first because that is the way it should be. And Danielle, maybe somebody saw me do that or somebody else did it, but those people in the admin class, Luke will put in the chat that admin class teaches 60 to 90, and they need to be reminded that our business is not 60 days old. So, Stephanie, you were just told wrong. I mean, whoever said that is living in the millisecond world. So here's the trade-off. I gain maybe a couple of milliseconds, or I lose somebody who made a change to a business rule 91 days ago, right? It's just not. So 999 is more than 3 years slightly. So it gives you plenty of time to go back and look for some stuff. So let's talk about that first. I want to talk about system audit trail. I'm going to go back to sharing screen so I can share what is going on. And let's see here. So there's the Infinity. Sorry about that. System audit trail. We probably only use this, if you're an average admin, we probably only use this for something like user logins or user logouts, which is fine. Sometimes you want to see what somebody's doing. Are they really in Encompass? If they are in Encompass, when did they log out? You might have also used it for business rules. And each of these categories gives you different kinds of actions and gives you different opportunities. So in this particular case, if I wanted to see when a business rule was deactivated, I can see real quick that M. Murphy deactivated a business rule June 6th. And the business rule they deactivated was this race, ethnicity, not applicable, blah, blah, blah. The reason why this is important is because if all of a sudden now you start getting problems reported or businesses like, hey, this thing isn't working the way it should, and you go in and discover that the rule that it's tied to is not active, but people are saying it was fine a week ago or whatever, you can come in the system audit trail and really, investigate it. So that's the first thing I really want to talk about. And for those that are doing, I'm going to flip back and forth because, again, I only have one screen and it sucks, so I can't see your chats. So I'm going to pause here and it'll be a little bit different of a meeting today. So that's the deactivated one for business rule. When you go through here and you build your list, you can go through and export. And when you click export, you're exporting this entire result out. One of the things that you cannot do with System Audit Trail is get the details. So if you go into modified, right, and so if we do this and we do search, here's the rule that I just modified right before this meeting. USDA populate 1040 MIC. Again, it doesn't tell me what I modified. It doesn't run that kind of thing. So this is the reason why you want to have it 999, because I want to be able to go back all the way to 23, which, by the way, this was also not 999. I updated this to 999 back in December, really. So I believe this was like 180 or something, maybe less. I don't know. But you can see where it ends, which kind of sucks. You might think you might not care about it, but I'm telling you right now, when a loan comes back for repurchase and your business says, why did this thing happen? You can go back and you can say, well, we either had this rule and you told me to deactivate it, or we didn't have this rule, and if you wanted it, we could have written it, all these kinds of things. So that's the one part. The second part I really want to talk about here is the failed logins. So failed login, what I'm really looking for is, where is it? Password mismatch. And if I click on search, it'll go through and it might take a minute, but what it's really looking for is password mismatch. And what I'm looking for, if I put this in date time, what I'm looking for is somebody who's attacking the company. this is a little bit like over the top for some folks. They're like, Larry, we're fine. Nothing's going on. There's no problems. I can tell you that over my career, in my position now, I've had it happen more than a few times where an employee left, and all of a sudden now I get different, and I'll use this is all TPOs. So I get this person who's logging in from multiple IP addresses. I had one go as far as where we discovered where an ex-employee was working with a current employee to basically steal data out of the system with an unused login that had been given admin permissions as well as an admin user group. Like wild stuff. But this is real. This is your fiduciary responsibility, your company as an admin, to be aware of this. So if, again, top level best practice, if you want to try to go in and you want to search for, is my admin login under attack at any point in time, you can go back to any one of your folks and you can look for the admin. If I can find it very quickly with my scrolly thing here on my keyboard, which again, I failed miserably to prepare properly for this meeting. So I would basically come over here and I would look for admin. And fortunately, in this case, I only see 2 attempts where there's password mismatch, and it was the same IP address, and it was over the course of a few months. Nothing to see here. Do yourself a favor and do it right now on your own system and see if your own admin account is looking normal. And so one of the things that I recommend this for is to, better now? Oh geez, did I freeze? Hopefully all that went through. So one of the things that I really advocate for is double checking in your settings audit trail. Oh, I didn't freeze, okay. Thanks, Chris. So one of the things I recommend is double checking that audit trail for every now and then, right? Just go through maybe once a quarter, look to see what's going on with your failed login attempts, look to see if there's a pattern. Even if you did it once every 3 months, so 4 times a year, it's probably more than what you're doing now. And again, the reason why I do this is in the settings health check or Encompass, health check, I'm looking for patterns that are unexpected. And for you as admins, it's one of the last things you probably think of because you're focusing on break fixes or you're focusing on projects. And part of your job, my opinion, part of your job as an admin is to administrate the whole platform, and understanding the audit trail is one of those key things that I believe isn't taught as much as it should be. And so that's why I want to have it in today. So if you have any questions about that, or you have any discussion you want to have about that here, bring it up now. Otherwise, if you want to do it on the community afterwards, I'd love to hear your feedback. Hopefully you don't find anything, but I'm telling you, it wouldn't surprise me if you found something that was unusual. Cool. So that's the topic of settings audit trail. We run this report every day. Jill, what report do you run every day? I'm really curious. So Jill says, run the report every day. I'm interested what that is. Oh, you mean the failed logins? Wow. Okay. That's cool. Seriously, a handful of our data security team. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Rocking. So Jill, hopefully you have it at $9.99 now, especially for you. Chris, if you do the same thing, hopefully you've got it at $9.99 now also. Okay, cool. All right. No, that's awesome. I had no idea. that was happening. And in your case, Jill and Chris, you got the data reports technically, but from my end, again, somebody has a gap or they want to verify it or whatever. This gives you at least an ongoing, 2 years from now, you at least have the data saved. All right. So let's flip over the conversation to settings reports. Show of hands, put in the chat. How many people use the settings report within the system administration? And if you do use it, what are you using it for? Because the settings report is really all about leveraging 3 main types of reports. You've got your persona, you've got your user group, and you've got your organization. And so Jill uses it for one of the cases, which is administration. Wait, sorry, Jill, when you said access, my head went to licensing. Did you mean persona-based for what the user can access, quote unquote, or did you mean user group accessing loan files? What did you mean exactly? Stephanie adds quarterly persona report to all the managers. And Stephanie's got a great philosophy here, which is to say, I'm imagining, Stephanie, you run that report, you give it to the managers, and you say, is this right? Is this correct? And which is something I'd completely advocate for, because A, it takes the responsibility away from you. B, it's another way to distribute information to those managers, in Stephanie's case, of what's changed. Remember, Encompass is changing right now feverishly. Like once every 3 months is on pace right now. You've got new persona settings to manage, different tabs even to manage. And so what this allows you to do is constructively, at least once every 3 months, if you do it quarterly, to go through and make sure that everybody in that team understands what's possible now within Encompass. Especially if you're doing multi-channels. If you've got TPO Connect running, you've got TPO Business running, you want to make sure you explain what's possible, not only for your retail team, but also for your non-retail team. So that's great. So let's go. I'm going to go over and share the screen for those that haven't used this. It's one of those pieces that when I talked earlier about the multiple persona syndrome, this is one of the ways that you can start to whittle away at your multiple personas. You can start to compare all of your processing personas together, all of your underwriting personas together, all of your sales teams personas together, and even managers, to say, what do I need 4 levels of UW, that kind of thing. Just go ahead and share the screen for those that haven't seen it. Click share first, and I so wish I had another screen, guys. Sorry to flip back and forth here. I just didn't think I was going to be in this basement. So for those that don't know, so last week I was in Oahu moving one of my daughters out. This week I'm in Seattle helping her move in, and I'm in her building in Seattle. So if you have any special requests from Seattle, let me know. I'll see if I can take care of that for you. All right, so let's get over into system administration and let's get over into settings reports. And as I talked about, there's three main kinds of reports, and you can see 179 reports run so far. So in this environment, it's run regularly. And so one of the things that you can do is when you are interested in running a report, you're going to click the page plus over here on the far right-hand side. It's going to bring up a few different kinds of reports. First is organization. And so what you can do is you can choose your organizational folder, and you can choose these down here. You can include subordinate organizations. Here's one of the things I will tell you. If I did this, it will simply give me these two. If I wanted to include these here also, you have to go into each one. So it's a little bit annoying in terms of how the report breaks it out. But because it breaks out in Excel, and Excel has limitations to the kinds of tabs and the groupings of those tabs, it basically can only go one folder and then one subordinate folder. So if you've got like a really long tree, you might have to do this more than once. But what's really helpful is you can see all your licensing. So at the very least, you can give the company a report of your licensing, or if you've got branches, you can get all your branches licensing. Or if you want to actually get all your user details, so if you want to get all your user licensing for your organization, again, this is internal users only. This is not external users. That's a different kind of report in a different area, an external company setup. But you can go in there and give all your details by org or by user licenses. And you can also include disabled users if you want. Anytime that you click create report, it's going to create a new report ID, and you can't recreate the report. You can't go in there and edit. Each time you run a report, it is its own report ID. And so it's its own unique thing. Once you have it, you can download it. You can view the log of the request and the time, etc. If you click rerun, what it does is it does a copy of. And then if I were to click create report, it would give me a new report ID. And so when you go through here, that's the first con, that's the organization. The next kind, I'll use that for licensing, truthfully. That and addresses for branches. Persona I use all the time. Persona is fantastic. So this is what was mentioned in the chat earlier. You can come and select all the personas, of course. That's going to be an enormous Excel report. Or if I wanted to look at, a couple of these like post-closing and post-closing manager. These are two examples of why do we need two different ones? What is unique about one versus the other? If they are truly unique, that's great. If they're not, then we only really need one. And I would select all. These are the tabs in the persona. And then again, I create that report here. And there you go. Well, the last one that's on here is a user group. So let me go back to personas because there's a checkbox here. So if I uncheck this, it gives me my TPO. Again, if you're using TPO stuff, if I check it, it does not give my external. So it'll show both internal and external, but that's what this checkbox does in case you're looking for your external personas. User group, it gives you your user groups. Again, one of the most awesomest parts of the settings report, just like personas, is user groups. You can figure out which user group has access to which loans or folders of loans. Same thing goes with all of your resources, custom print forms, standard print forms. It lists it all out. So if you've got concerns about which user group has access to which resource or which template, or if you want to make sure you understand the role list view, which is entirely complicated, you can do that in here. So I'm going to pause sharing so I can go back and see if anybody has any chat questions and catch up with all of that. Let's see here. So, Linda's is my hometown. Chris, tell me more. What was dedication in terms of doing the reports or something else? And when we're talking about these settings, again, these are things that typically come up in compliance meetings, security meetings. It's very dry kind of procedural stuff. I like to focus in on these parts for something else. Getting on this video calls from Hawaii and basement. Oh yeah. It's important. I mean, there's 31 people and then there's another 100 people who hit the replay. So, and helping your daughter move. Dude, if you ever have to move to Hawaii or, on island, off island, Alaska's the same thing. You're not going to drive to Alaska normally. You're going to ship stuff. Excruciatingly expensive for everything to ship. And then you also get to decide what you want to sell and what you want to keep, which is painful. So it's not to get so melodramatic on you, but it's a lot. So I help family. Plus, I can do this anywhere, obviously. So has anyone come up with another way to use a settings report or system audit trail? Again, I like to use settings reports for combination of user groups, combinations of personas when I'm going in to do health checks, when I'm going in to do like workflow reviews and settings reviews. And the reason why we know is because if we have a user with more than one persona, we don't know what's going on. This came up today, again, right before this call. We had a situation where somebody could only see certain TPO companies, an external company setup, and they've got multiple personas. And I said to them, we have to do a report on what personas they have, because one of those personas has a sales rep tagged in the persona settings. And because one of them is a sales rep, it acts like they are a sales rep, which means in TPO land, you can only see the companies you're a sales rep for. So it's a good setting, but it's not what you want your ops people to be limited by. So that's one of the things I'll use the settings report for. And then another is licensing. When we've got a company coming up, some companies will use this at the beginning of the year to make sure that all the licensing details are updated if they're using Encompass to track that information. That's a clear way to give a report that everybody's been updated. You can also flip it the other way towards the end of December. Some companies will update ongoing continuing education for their LOs if they have to have licensing in certain states. They'll run the report at the beginning of December to kind of say, hey, gang, like you're not going to be able to do loans in this state if we don't have this updated. And they'll use those settings reports to send out to the team members to show that the licensing is still not updated. So those are a couple of ideas for you to consider using those settings reports. Candace looks like she's typing something. Does anyone else have any questions? Let's see. Candace says, my sister-in-law had, this is a Hawaii story. So check this out. So Candace had a sister-in-law move to Hawaii. She's back in Texas, but yes, it was very expensive experience all the way around. Yeah, it's money. It's real money. Thank you, Candace, for sharing that. Yeah, it's something. So I'd love to hear any other use cases. If you have any questions about how you can leverage this, as we heard from some of the other community members, they're using the system audit trail for security. So if you're not currently involved in that, if you've got a security apparatus in your company, you may want to suggest that being managed because you will find credentials being shared inappropriately. Oh, Katie, you suck. Katie asked me if they're nice glasses. So yeah, they are new because for the first time in my life, I left my eyeglasses on the friggin' plane. I put in a lost request, but they're never going to be found. And so this little reflection, which you can probably not see, but it's obvious to me because these are not anti-reflective, it bothers me. So thanks, Katie, for making a painful moment for me. I really appreciate that. That's great. Anyway, if you have any questions on this stuff, let me know. And if I don't know what ICE could ever do to make it better, I will say this as a reminder. The system audit trail only audits stuff in desktop. I expect that we're going to see something to include web settings. I don't know what it is. I've asked ICE relentlessly on how we can get some type of reporting out of web settings, web version settings. Nothing yet. So as soon as I hear anything, I'll post it to the community. I'll share it out, whatever, so you guys know what to do. In the meantime, get your eyes on web version settings, gang. I know I've been beating that into your heads now for a long time, but it's time. You got to make time. If you need any help with web version, you don't need any special review for web version settings. If you're not sure about them and you're uncomfortable, you can sign up for the web class that we have, and we'll go from there. Amy and Katie, by the way, are the biggest jokesters. So anything that they say, don't listen to them. They're just full of it. So that's all I got, gang. Anybody have any questions they want to bring up? Going once, going twice. All right. You guys get back to your real life. I really appreciate you coming. I'm glad these topics are on track. As always, if you have a topic you want to cover, you have a problem you want to bring up, ask me ahead of time. I'll try to remember or bring it up live, and we will go through it together. You guys be well. Safe travels wherever you're going. I don't know where I'm going to be next Tuesday. Maybe New Jersey, maybe not. We'll see. See you now. Bye, gang. Nebraska. No, I'm not coming to Nebraska. And I'm not going to Amy's basement either. See you guys.